How's
How's
that? Perfect.
that?
There you go. Roger, we're just waiting for Jordan. Jordan's having some problem getting on. So, but whilst we're here, meet
What,
Jordan's dad, Bob.
the young person having trouble getting online. Unusual. Hi, Bob.
Roger, hi. My name is Bob Lerner. It's very nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
know a lot about you, Bob, and I thank you for all the support you've given this wonderful foundation. It really means a lot to me personally.
Well,
And I know you have an experience of what I was trying to do for the last 35 years.
well, here comes Jordan.
Hey guys, sorry I was late.
Hi, Jordan.
Ah, there you are.
Hello, Roger. How are you? Good
Hey,
to see
Jordan,
you.
how are you?
We were
Well written piece that you did on our website. Very well written, and it's wonderful to you know that people like you that have been through it are so articulate about what the health system needs. You know, there's a lot of other things to help people through the journey, other than medication and all that stuff. Just taking care of people is sometimes quite important.
I appreciate that. I take a lot of pride in being able to write well. My dad taught me how to write well. He was a big proponent of that growing up.
It really comes across, the struggles you had. And I mean, I'm only on the outside of this, but as you know, I don't know whether you know the history, but my GP, my doctor, and his wife, Adrian and Myrna Whiteson, came up with this idea because they noticed the struggle that people of your age were having with being mixed up with little children, or even worse, old farts like me. It's not the thing about it, Jordan. I'm sure you found out is that it's not good for the children to be around you, and it's certainly not for you, and it's certainly not good for adults if you were a little bit older. Everybody
100%. I had an experience I don't talk about much because it's not super relevant to TCA, but when I got radiation, which was the radiation treatment at the hospital that I was at, was in the adult hospital. And I was 19 or 20, and I would wait in the waiting room with the adults. And the adults were pretty shaken up by seeing a 20-year-old. I remember that.
And as we know, the brain rules everything. A happy, contented, open brain that's positive about going forward will always do a lot better than someone who's isolated, frightened, upset by what they're seeing around them. It didn't make sense to me why it took so long to get this thing going and have it adopted. But fortunately, with people like you, with your articulate piece and what you've been through and what you're holding this event, this golf event. And I'm sorry I can't be there, but I've got to have some surgery on my knee. I've damaged my knee.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're all right.
I'm probably going to be limping for the next six weeks. But you wouldn't want me on your golf course anyway, because I'm a kind of agricultural golfer. I'm better at ploughing than I ever am at golf.
Yeah, that's good.
That's amazing. Yeah, well, why don't you, Jordan, just briefly? I mean, you're well past your cancer now. How many years is it since you had cancer?
So I had my last treatment was in March of 2017. So it's been 6.5 years.
Right. Wow. And you're doing well, aren't you? I mean,
I'm a survivor.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you got married last year as well.
Were you treated? Sorry, Simon.
Sorry, I was just saying you got married last year as well, didn't you?
I got married in July of this last 3 months ago.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Were you treated in the new CHOP hospital?
I was treated in both. I was when I was 2019, when I was 19, so 2014, I was treated in the old CHOP hospital, and that was bleak. No offense to CHOP. No offense to CHOP. Like,
I'll tell you what, Jordan, when I went to the new one, when they only just opened it, hadn't they, Simon?
Yeah, that's right. And Jordan helped raise money for it.
And it was 2012, and they just finished it, and they were very proud of it. Of course, it's a beautiful building. It's for children. It's fantastic. And I went around it with the head of the hospital, and he said, "What do you think?" I said, "It's really great, but what is there for adolescents and young adults?" And obviously, you couldn't find a broom cupboard that was suitable.
So
you know, hopefully they've changed a bit now, and I'm sure that, you know, the medical profession, the professionals in, you know, the doctors and the oncologists and all that, and the consultants, they're all for what we're trying to do, but it's just trying to change the management structures of hospitals. It's very
true.
simple.
The management structures, as you guys probably are aware, are really difficult to work around. So we had some experience with this, and so like I said, the first time I was treated at CHOP was in the old hospital, and it was pretty bleak. And that's sort of where I was like, oh man, we got to do something about this. This is no good. And then I was treated there for like 4 months, and then I was in remission for a year and a half. I went back to college, and then I relapsed in August of 2016, and I went back to CHOP, and I was in the new hospital. And while I was back at college, so in between those two periods, we helped raise a good amount of money to build a little unit in the oncology ward at CHOP for teens and adolescents, and it has my fraternity's name on it, which I'm very proud of. And when I went there, I would sit in there, and there would be kids my age, and it was great. And like, nobody was really talking to each other because everyone's kind of minding their own business. But that's sort of the point, is that like, you have everything you need there. If you want to talk to somebody, you can. It's not like a place to hang. It's not a place to like meet and greet. It's just a separate place to hang out. And
I don't think a cancer ward's ever going to be a place you're going to want to go to.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if you want to talk, you can talk. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think most people are content to just hang out there. It's more relaxed. It's totally separate. It's quiet. No one's crying, like no little babies, whatever. And then, but the new hospital is gorgeous, and that teen room is still there, and I'm really proud of that. And that was our first foray into TCA, was that building that teen room. I think we raised like $30,000 or $35,000, something like that, Simon.
Yeah, you did, with your hog roasts.
Yeah, we did.
College hog roasts.
Roger, we did this great event at my fraternity at Cornell in New York. We have a big barbecue pit in the backyard of our house, and we hosted like a community-wide event. We got a big whole hog, and we roasted it all day, literally 24 hours. And we got people to Cornell's a big engineering school. We hooked up we hooked up the spit to a bicycle, and so we had guys take turns riding the bike, turning the pig. And for every mile that we rode, we had people to donate. So we rode like, I don't know, 300 miles in like 24 hours. Like different kids just like turning this thing. And then we had everybody around, and we cut up the hog. You know, there were probably like 3,000 people showed up. It was a big event. But, you know, it was a good time.
I mean, that's what's wonderful about this. You know, that with people like you and what you've been through and your passion for doing it, we will change the system. And that's the great thing about America. You know, everybody talks about make America great again. America's always been great. Your attitude to life in America, we can. You know, unfortunately, I live in England, where I call it the land of no. We've got the same will to live, but we come up against all this kind of bureaucracy that takes it away from us.
Well, we're getting to this year. We should come up with
America is that you've really taken it on board, and then the system, I guarantee you, is changing, isn't it, Simon?
Yeah, it is. And we're going to be up to 60. We'll be up to 60 hospitals this year.
Yeah, but it's more than that, Simon. It's more than just the units. It's to do with changing the mentality of the way we view the adolescent and young adult patient. Yeah. That's what it's really all about. You know, it's got to change. You're no longer just, because most of what people don't realize on the outside of the cancer treatment is that most of the research money, for instance, never goes into the rare and unusual and aggressive cancers that adolescents get and young adults get. It mostly goes to try and cure people that are in the last perhaps 5-10 years of their life. It's just crazy. But that's a different issue. That's a research issue. But equally, there's so much more we can do to help the patient through the journey of having cancer and getting rid of it.
So that's one thing
more than anything.
Yeah.
When I give a speech at the golf outing every year, and the one thing I always try to emphasize when I do this speech is that we're not raising money for research. We're not raising money to change how like the science is done. We're raising money because people are surviving more, and they're going to struggle as a result of that. It's not going to be like, you don't just survive cancer as a young person and go on to live the rest of your life like a normal person. You have like battle scars, and that's at least part of what TCA is about, is like, how do we get these people who are going to have better outcomes no matter what, because it's 2023, it's not 2003 anymore. Yeah, we know we're going to have better outcomes, but we don't know what it means to have better outcomes. Surviving has its own set of challenges that we haven't really evaluated yet. And you know, I've experienced them, and they're different for me than they are for other adolescents. But I think adolescents as a whole, it's different than pediatrics, and it's all different than adult cancer. So I think we're just sort of, like you said, it's just starting, because we're just starting to survive more and more. And
you've got decades of life ahead of you, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's lots of challenges, especially because the treatments are so brutal.
I'm reminded by this one, like it was like a brain teaser that I remember really clearly. They taught us like when we were little in like middle school or something, and it went like in Simon dropped.
Oh,
or Roger dropped.
Just drop Roger. Right, hold that thought. Let's let him log back on.
No problem.
I don't know what happened.
How's it going, Simon?
It's going really well. You know, the challenge is always going to be in the edit. Here's Michelle. Michelle's here feeding me notes.
Hi guys. How are you?
But
hey.
yeah, I don't know why he's dropped off. So let's hope he gets back on. But yeah, it's going really well. It's just going to be, you know, we've got to get whatever we talk about, we've got to try and find the best kind of 3 or 4 minutes, because
is there anything in particular you want me to hit?
Well, there's a couple of things. I want Bob to talk about the event and you, but you know, it'd be good to talk about that. I thought that, you know, we might ask him, you know, he's met a lot of families, you know, and I think your perspective, Bob, as a dad, you know, going through, I think is an interesting one. I think we have to end with, is the Who going to tour again? That'll be hot news, because nobody knows. So yeah, I think we just need to talk something about the event. But this is great. Everything that's coming through is great, except that we've lost Roger completely.
It's okay. He'll come back.
Well, I've done that. No, he's not with Jules. He's at home. Let me just tell her he's just dropped off. Lily will be looking out for him in the waiting room. You're still there, aren't you, Lily?
Is Lily still there?
I don't know. Make sure she is.
Then she'd have to let him back in.
Yeah.
Do you want to text her?
Can you text her?
Yes.
Roger was laughing about the fact, Jordan, that you were having difficulty getting on as the youngest person on the call.
So typical. Like, I knew I was going to have a problem. I tried to sign in early, and I tried to fix 10 different things, and then my camera didn't work. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I forgot about the camera. I didn't even think about it, but yeah. Sorry about that again.
So Lily says, I'm here. Can you hear me or see me? Can you see Lily?
Hi, Lily. Yeah, we can see you, but he's not in the waiting room. We can't hear you. Sorry. I've just sent an email to his
Jules,
to his assistant Jules, who helped set up the call. So
okay, no worries.
Hold on. There we go. You're just on mute, Roger. Just unmute yourself.
He's just connecting. It'll just take a sec. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, now he's muted.
There you
Roger,
go.
welcome back.
We had a power cut. Sorry about that.
No.
Welcome back.
There you go.
That
Well-
was to be expected. There was going to be at least one random drop in the.
Oh, the joys of technology.
Jordan was just giving us an anecdote of one of his experiences. I know.
Well, I was
when
just.
you were a kid.
I was just going to say, Roger, one of the, back to your earlier point about how things are different now, and we don't know what the problems are going to be, but we have to be prepared to solve them. There's like a funny anecdote, not funny. It's an anecdote that I've heard that I think reminds me a little bit of the situation where, in World War I, a lot of people died, obviously, but then in World War II, they invented new helmets. And in World War II, they were more head injuries than there had ever been before. And the question was, well, why are there so many head injuries and what are we going to do about it? Well, it's because we invented a better helmet and people stopped dying from getting shot in the head, but now they have head injuries that they have to deal with. And we don't know how to deal with the head injuries. So the brain teaser goes why is there so many more head injuries in World War II than World War I? How could it be? Well, it's because there's so fewer deaths. And it's the same kind of thing. I hate to be so blunt about it, but
right. That's a great point. And I'm gonna use that in this country. Next time I'm on stage raising money for the Teenage Cancer Trust, I'm gonna use that anecdote. That's great.
Nice
no,
one.
I did right, because that is the issue. It should be all about the complete care of the person. The trouble is people just look at, they're looking at notes now more than ever because of the technological advances we've made. Doctors now look at the computer as much as they look at the patient.
Yeah.
Which can be a disaster in other ways,
Roger, I was just thinking about the fact that I know this because you've met so many parents, to kind of bring in Bob here, because I know that it's also really important for the parents that young people are happier in their circumstance and in their, where they're being treated. And that's a big issue, isn't it?
But the worry I've seen in parents around for all these years, sometimes, it's more upsetting for me than actually dealing with adolescents and young adults. The parents, I walk away and I feel more traumatized by the parents than I ever have with the patients. It's kind of weird. Their suffering is so deep. I can't imagine what you went through, Bob. I had a sister that died of cancer, my younger sister, but she was 32. It was a long time ago. It was 1982. And when she was first diagnosed, I just ran around the house screaming like a chicken with no head. I'll never forget it. And I can only imagine if that had been my child, what the devastation must have been.
I'm sorry about the loss of your sister, of course, but I've said at least she got to live some of her life, not a full life, but some of her life. When you see these adolescents, they've lived none of their lives.
That's exactly true.
And it's very disturbing to see. Someone who's 80 years old, okay, they had a real full life. Someone who's 30, not so full. Someone who's 17, that's quite problematic and disturbing. And some families are able to manage through that and have the resources financially and by virtue of coverage to deal with it. And our family was fortunate in that regard. But I'm personally still very disturbed by what I saw in the hospital with other families and the difficulties they had. Most of the stories we have or that we tell are not about, Jordan walking the hallway or whatever. It's about, this family my wife saw in the little waiting room where they have a washing machine, and this woman had one kid on her hip and another kid in her arms, and she's doing her laundry. And my wife said, I'm sorry, your kid is sick. She said, no, these are my two healthy ones. My third one is down the hall. Where's your husband? He's at home with the other kid working. It's like, whoa, that's very heavy duty. And so that's very disturbing. And we saw numerous instances of this kind of thing. And the hospital does their best to help everybody through it. But again, it's very tough to see that circumstance.
But did you find that hopefully, what we're trying to do is to make it so that the parents of adolescents and young adults with cancer can get to know about each other, can get to support each other, because just to talk about and support each other surely must unload it. I've always felt it does.
Well, at the hospital, as Jordan said earlier, when he was sitting in the teen room with other kids, you're not in the mood to chit chat. And the same holds true with seeing the other parents on the floor, particularly, let's say, on the stem cell transplant floor. There was a family in the room next to Jordan. Their kid was about the same age, a young college student. And we could tell by virtue of the very hushed conversations the parents were having in the hallway with the doctors, and that something wasn't quite going right. And I suspect it was the psychological aspects of the treatment. We didn't go over to the other family and say, anything, but it's from my perspective, just was very disturbing to see that they were not handling it that well. So, the hospital's not a great, it's not a great place to make new friends, let's say.
No, I understand that. I mean, one of the places I first went to trying to get this going in America, it was at Yale, and I went into three. It was a very basic part of the hospital, and there was three separate rooms with three different teenagers of different ages in there. I think the first one was 16, had just been diagnosed with leukemia, and the second one was unfortunately in isolation, so I couldn't see him. Didn't have time in the trip. But the third one had just basically been given an all clear. And their parents were there. They were all with their dads, and they were three boys. And I just felt that, if only those three youngsters had known there was someone in a different part of the journey. The kid obviously just been diagnosed, was terrified. The one in isolation, I've got no idea. I'm hoping he had a good result. But the one coming out of it could have helped the one just been diagnosed mentally if they got to talk. And
it's a very good point. And I will say that Jordan himself has volunteered his time to take calls from kids all over the United States who are in that same predicament. Some kid who's just been diagnosed and what to expect. Some kid who's going in for a stem cell and what to expect. So
wait, Dad, if you don't mind me cutting you off, Roger, this is one thing that I've, that's probably like the next project I want to do at TCA. It's not a today formal project, but it's for sure in the pipeline. But it is one of the benefits of having a teen room, having space. Like we asked, like, what's the point of like having these physical spaces for adolescents, young adults? If they're not going to talk to each other, maybe you could say, like, well, at least at least they're separate. So you're not like looking at the little kids. That's for sure true. But in my experience, there were times when it was helpful to talk to. I would be in the waiting room, in the teen room, with a kid who was all better. And he was just there for a checkup, and we would talk about the cancer that he had, and it gives you hope, which is very valuable.
Oh, there you go. You did converse.
And then I've done this a few times now where I will, because I remember so clearly the first thing I wanted the day that I got diagnosed, or like the day after, only thing I wanted to do was I wanted to talk to somebody who had the same cancer that I had, but had survived. And I was fortunate that my cancer was one that people do survive. So in that sense, it's not so hard to find somebody who survived it, and I acknowledge that I'm, lucky in that way, but, I've done a few times now, maybe like 8 or 10, I'll just anonymously get connected with a kid who's just got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma specifically, which is what I had. And I talk them through Actually, it's not even just teens. I do it with adults too. But I talk them through what to expect, because the doctors don't really tell you.
They
the
haven't
nasty stuff.
time, Jordan. They haven't. I mean, their time now is so the time they actually have with patients now.
Yeah, I don't want to knock the doctors, of course. I would never disrespect them. But nobody told me that when I was going through chemo the first time.
Yeah, these are things that we can do in society to make the society we live in better. And it's just about caring, just about, I've always, in England, in our biggest unit in London, we do have a parent space, a room where the parents can sit and unload, because you obviously know that you've seen it. There's an awful lot of tragedy. But then there's an awful lot of joy when you do get the successes like you. So it's not all it's not all bad at all.
And you're right. And to this point, like the teen room, not the teen rooms necessarily, but just the advantage of spaces is, at least for the parents, I know that my mom, so I had a lot of really weird methods for getting through chemo. Weird by normal standards, I guess. I used swimmer's nose clips on my nose so that I couldn't taste anything. And if I could, because when you get IVs, they flush it with saline, and that made me very nauseous, and I would be really sick. So if I plugged my nose, I couldn't taste it. I could get the IVs much more easily, stop throwing up so much. I used a lot of weird scents. I put orange peels on my face. And one day my mom was in one of the waiting rooms with another teenage mother, a mother of a teen. And my mom was sharing the tips. It's the one mom was complaining that her kid just couldn't stop throwing up, which is very common for chemo. And my mom was like, well, have you tried these things that we do? And then, and then they were able to share ideas. So it's more than just this. The spaces are it's not just a physical space to separate people. It's a place to build a network that actually does present possibilities for improving the quality of the experience. It's not even the outcome is going to be the same. This kid's going to be okay. Medicine works, but getting from A to B is really hard. And to make it easier, that's what I think is the benefit of it all. Yeah,
no, you're dead right. And of course, the other thing, I don't know whether it's the same now, but when we first started with this 30 years ago, well, nearly 35 years ago now, the issues for young people that have been through cancer go on through your life, health insurance and things like that. It never stops being more difficult because you've had cancer, does it?
Right.
I don't know whether that's changed, but they're things that we hope to address as we become more and more, what would you say? We just get a bit more clout than we've got at the moment.
Yeah.
No, I think we're all on the same page.
I can definitely see all of this accelerating. And I think that's one of the things we're trying to accomplish with the golf tournament is it's one thing to just raise money or ask people for donations, but it's another thing to show them or bring people into the mix that weren't physically involved before. But you go to the TCA event, you play the best golf course, I think, in New Jersey. It kicks people's asses. They come off the course feeling like that was really exciting. Then there's a big concert. Everyone's having a good time. A couple speeches. You learn about the problems and the process. It's more involved than just a donation, I think. I don't know, Simon, if you were gonna.
That's the wonderful thing. Like I say about the human race, is that if you can inspire people, they will achieve it. It's as simple as that, And all these things going forward are all possible if you can inspire people to understand it.
And I think you're right. And this is all a perfect segue to talk about the event. And maybe, Bob, you want to just introduce the start of that. And
sure. Well,
that was a great description of it, Jordan. But
so Roger, a week from today, we will be holding the third annual Teen Cancer America Golf Outing. It's being held at my home course, which is called Metedeconk National. The word Metedeconk is a Native American name, and it's the name of a river. And our course is, as Jordan said, considered one of the most prestigious courses in the greater New York metropolitan area. and we're known for our very high course conditioning, the difficulty of our layout, and our very high service. So that's where the event will be. The reason, and we're very pleased that it's in its third year now, we chose golf because, as everyone knows, golf is historically a great way to engage in charitable activities. But in addition, golf is a very important part of my family. My brother is a world-renowned golf commentator. Everybody who knows golf knows my brother. He unfortunately cannot attend next week. He's been the 2 previous years. He'll be heading to Australia to cover another big golf event live. But my brother's involved with golf. My son Jordan is a very strong player. I myself still have some gas in the tank, so to speak. We've won a lot of medals over the years, and so the combination of golf in our family history plus access to a world-class venue, you throw in the rock and roll, and we've created a very unique way to showcase Teen Cancer America. In the first 2 years, we've raised, I think, a little over $700,000 for the cause, and we're hoping this year to collectively break the $1 million mark, where it's going to be close, but I think we can do it. We've had, because of my brother and my own involvement in the world of golf, we've been able to get just about every major golf manufacturer to donate merchandise. And that's a great thing. People at these events love all of that. We have a few other celebrities besides yourself who've donated merchandise. Your countryman, Matt Fitzpatrick, who just won the European Tour event this morning on a Monday finish, happens to be a member at our club. He's donating signed merchandise. The famous LeBron James of basketball, and so on. A lot of rockers are donating.
Have you, Bob? Have you approached Jack Nicklaus? Because I went to see him in Florida. Must have been about 8 years ago now.
Well, it's funny. Jack was at our club last year. I have approached his
foundation.
Well, no, he has a handler, an individual who was frankly unresponsive to my several inquiries here.
So to me too.
That's the way it goes. But our golf event for next week is currently sold out in terms of number of players. A lot of people are coming just for the rock and roll and dinner, and we're very hopeful that we can raise enough this year to say that in 3 years we've broken the $1 million mark. So that's a bit of the history of the event, why we chose golf, why it's at this venue, why it's unique.
Zach Cohen plays every year. You know, Zach, he's he almost got won the car last year with the whole
we have a very cool, so Zach Cohen, one of your board members, comes. A number of your board members have been very generous.
Howard Jaffe.
So one of the things as evidence of that generosity, Roger, is someone might pay for a foursome and say, why don't you have Jordan and 3 of his friends play on my behalf? That's happened a number of times. So we have a number of young people who come, and their resources are somewhat limited, of course, but they do bid on a lot of these auction items, and that helps the cause too. So some people are just very generous. They write a check and say thank you. But as to Zach, one interesting thing we do have, we have $1 million shootout. So there's a little contest during the round, and then there's 4 winners of that little contest, and the 4 of them gather at a unique area on our golf course and get one shot. It's a difficult shot, of course. And if you were to make it, you would collect $1 million. Zach last year hit it to like 8 feet, it was a nice shot. He didn't get any money, but it was a very great shot.
And everyone's watching,
and
Roger.
the
It's a
crowd,
big
the crowd,
stadium
the crowd,
event.
For anybody else.
the crowd did go wild because it looked good for a long time.
Wow.
And so anyhow, so that's a bit about that's but the real highlight, aside from the course and all the merchandise, is the rock and roll. It's really separated our event from any other event that I've ever seen, and the players are fantastic, and they give it they really give it their all, and the crowd loves it.
We've had people from Ken, the drummer who played at that event that paid a lot of money for his band comes along, but they've had people from Joan Jett's band have been there. Some of the people you probably know because they're in New Jersey. I don't know if you managed to get hold of Joan to see if she was up for coming, but
I think Bill's trying to do that, Simon.
okay.
Yeah, he's in contact with Kenny Laguna all the time. So
Yeah.
You asked Bill to get Joan.
Yeah, we will do though.
But equally,
we've tried to get some of the more name brand rockers, and there's some who live right in central New Jersey where we are located. Springsteen, Bon Jovi, Tico Torres, Nico McBrain. We know, my brother knows some of these guys, but nevertheless, we've not had luck with those guys showing up. But maybe one year they will. Yeah, or maybe you will.
Yeah, but, I don't know whether you're aware that Nico had a stroke back in January.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, and he's still recovering. He's back. He reckons he's back about 90%. But I know Nico well, and I think Nico's the kind of guy. If I try and get there next year, which I will do, I'll give you my word now. That if I'm not on a Who tour, which I doubt very much, but I'll make it work. You know,
that would be great. Listen, the obviously,
I do need a date to block it out. You know, and this came in too late this year because I've been on tour and I've damaged my knee back in the summer, and I haven't been able to get it fixed. And now I've got an opportunity to get it fixed. Everybody's been on holiday, so it's been a nightmare.
Well,
it's the sort of event, Roger, if you wanted to come, that just you and Simon doing some acoustic stuff or something. It wouldn't have to be,
Well, listen, if you get your knee fixed, we can worry about next year when the time comes. But the rock and roll show that the team puts on is really fantastic, and it really does distinguish our event from, as I said, any other event that anybody's ever been to. And obviously, if we could elevate that with some of these superstars, that's a whole different thing. But we'll worry about that next time. But for now, that's the history of the event, and that's where we are. So,
Roger, what would be really good is, we're going to edit this discussion. We'll take some sound bites of this to show to the audience. It would be great if you could say a few words just now, just to thank the people that are at the event.
You asked me to pronounce the name of the golf club.
So let me pronounce it again, and I'll spell it for you. The name is Metedeconk. Think of it like Native American. Metedeconk. Here's how it's spelled: METEDECONK. Metedeconk. It's also known colloquially as the Conk. CONK. So if you were to say, "Welcome to the Conk," people would flip. People would go nuts. They would go nuts. So I'd say is the Conk. CONK is the nickname for our club, Metedeconk.
Okay. So you want me to do something, right? Okay. So what can I say?
Just say thanks for being here and help us raise a lot of money.
All right. Hi, it's Roger Daltrey here, and I'm over the moon that you guys are getting to play one of the best golf courses in the country, the Conk. I wish I was there. I can't be, but I might be next year. I'm hoping to. And you're supporting Teen Cancer America, of which I'm one of the founders. And it means so much to me that Jordan and Bob Lerner are so behind this charity, because it's something that needs to be done. We look after our young people, the future will be better for everybody. So good luck. Hope you win $1 million. All in one. If you do win it, you deserve it.
That's perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
That was gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
So,
right.
well, look, we don't want to take up any more of your time. I think it's been great. We've
Sorry
got
about power cut. I mean, can you make it up? We actually did have a power cut.
Yeah.
It takes a while for it to reboot. I live in the country. Oh, the joy of it.
Actually, you'll like this, you guys. Roger's latest venture, or the last couple of years, is you've opened a little brewery, haven't you?
It's not little size, it's quite a big brewery.
Yeah, big brewery. All right.
No, well, it's not big. It's a microbrewery, but it's rather wonderful. I'm very proud. We were in lockdown, and my sons and my son-in-laws were all sitting there thinking, "We got no work. What are we going to do?" So we came up with the idea, and I put my pension money in it, and they've actually built a brewery in the worst winter we've had for years, and I'm very, very proud of them.
Wonderful.
What's it called?
Lake Down. Look it up online.
I'm going to.
Lake
Down.
So when you guys go to England, you can have a beer with Roger.
Yeah, if you come to England and you come to Lake Down, it's a beautiful part of England, real country. It's only 50 odd miles from London, hour and 10 minutes on a train, and the beer's on me.
Wonderful.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Roger.
Well, thank you so much, everybody.
So much for your support, and you know, Jordan, think lucky, be lucky.
Thank you, Roger. Good luck. Good luck with your knee. I'm sure it'll go well, but thinking about you.
I'm not one
Feel better.
I can always have a peg put on, you know.